you so much. Thank you so much, Juliet, for that introduction. Greetings to all of you whom we are with tonight. You are in your evening, I'm in my morning. So, but we thank God for the technology that we are able to be together. We thank God for the corona lockdown, because through the lockdown, everybody has learned a lot, and we have achieved a lot in terms of divine connection. We have learned a lot spiritually, and we have learned a lot about our spouses, the things that we didn't know that each one has or each one does. But now I think each one of you who are connected here, you can really tell. Maybe you have not achieved much in terms of finances or whatever, but whatever you have achieved spiritually, that is the greatest gift that God has given you during this period. I thank you so much, Dr. and Juliet Masongo, for having invited me on this platform. I'm not a guest. One time when I was there, I preached in Muungano, I think so. Yes, yes. And those of you who were there, we had a wonderful time. And thank you so much. Yeah, that is technology. And as we go into our discussion tonight, we are looking at family life. And our topic for today, probably we will continue some other time. It is called marriage by faith. We go into marriage by faith. And I would like us to read like two scriptures. One is from 1 Corinthians 3:11. And I'm going to read from the Amplified Bible. And it says, for no one can lay a foundation other than the one which is already laid, which is Jesus Christ. When we go into family, it is a foundation. What was the foundation of your marriage when you were getting married? In the beginning of the world, when God was creating this world, he laid a foundation of which everything else rotates. And that foundation was Jesus Christ. That is why the Bible says, in the beginning, there was a word. The word was with God, and the word became flesh. And when it became fresh, it started to work. That was the foundation of this world, Jesus Christ himself. And it was the word when God said, let there be, and it was. So that was the foundation. You live in New Jersey, New York, all over the world. There are so many cities. And all these cities, they have a foundation. I'll pick one city into this world. I'll pick London. Let me pick London because it's the one which I'm very acquainted with. London was built in 50 AD by the Romans. They built that city 50 AD, and it was known as Roman London. So when the Romans founded the city, they drove the name from the Celtic word Londonos or Londonoise, as you could say, I am Camparian or something like that, which means the place of the bold one. So when after they invaded Britain in 43 AD, the Romans built bridges and across the Thames River. Those of you who know London, if you don't know, you go to Google after this presentation and then look at it. So when they built it, it was about this is about 2,000 years ago when the city was built. The city was built to last forever. And when it was built to last forever, there were buildings. The buildings were as long as when they were putting up the bricks for the building, it was to last as long as the world exists. So that city got the underground passages, just like in New York and New Jersey, I think, and other cities, to carry a lot of things, including people. And what made this city to be strong, it is to up to date. It is the foundation. So the foundation of our families, the foundation of our homes is so important, that how strong our marriages are going to be and how firm our families are going to be. We are going to read another scripture from Hebrews 11, verse 1. It's about the foundation. I'm still reading from the Amplified Bible. And it says, now faith is the assurance. In this Bible, it says, title deed in brackets, title deed, confirmation of things hoped for, divinely guaranteed, and the evidence of the things not seen. The conviction of their already reality. Faith comprehends as fact which cannot be experienced by the physical senses. So when we are entering into marriages, when we are creating families, when we enter into relationships, we enter there by faith, because we never know what is going to happen from 1 year, 2 years, 10 years, 30 years, 40 years. I think the audience whom we are with tonight, you all have experiences that you have gone through, but you have gone through up to today by faith. From the foundation of the world, when God created the world, everything else he made, he spoke. He spoke a word. But when it came to make man, God himself bent down to earth and he started molding you and me through our great grandfather Adam. God used his own hands to mold you. He did not say that, let there be Ruth, and I was. No. He did not say, let there be Juliet, let there be Mary. He molded you with his own hands, with love, with a lot of ingredients which were put in you. We find that in Genesis 1:27 and 28, whereby we are not going to read, you can write, but this is a common verse. So when God created man, he made one pair. How many pairs did he make? One. He made one pair. It was intended that each one and everyone on the earth should have his or her own partner. And if God had intended that Adam should quicken the fulfilling of the command that he was given, that fill the world, God could, to quicken the multiplication of having many children at once, he could have made several Evas for him, and he could have named them Eva 1, Eva 2, Eva 3, Eva 4, up to 10, so that each year Adam could get like 10 children at once, so that the world could be filled as fast as possible. But God did not do that. He only made one Eve and one Adam, but he told them to multiply. How were they going to multiply when he was only having one woman? God had a purpose for that. And that could, if God had made 10 Evas, it could have been the fastest way of filling up the earth as God had commanded. Why did God make one man and one woman and gave them directions? Because he was avoiding the future confusions among families. And today you can see that all families are in confusion, most of the families, especially those who are like not Christians, even in Christians, even in church. It's not a hidden thing that in church we are all saints, that there is nothing happening like that. But even in church, amongst the children of God, these things are happening. So anything that is built without a strong foundation, as we said in the foundation bit of it, of the Lord God, does not flourish, and it cannot stay for long. So ask yourself as you are listening, as you are watching, was my marriage built on a strong foundation? Was my marriage built on the foundation of Jesus Christ? Is our family, leave alone the marriage, man and woman, but the family, how are your children founded? How are your relatives founded? So these are all questions that we have to answer ourselves, because no one can answer that for us. There are so many companies in this world which are begun almost on a daily basis. And when they are begun, these companies, they are people with similar thoughts. They come together and they agree to start a company. And if the directors of the company do not have the same goals, the same vision, the same mission, most likely that company will collapse in a few days or in a few years. Those companies which have survived for long, when they have partners, the partners in that company, they maintain the visions, the missions, and the goals that they founded their company. So if partners do not have the same common goal, that company collapses. Same with the families. If one wants to start a family, first of all, it must be clear. Why are you getting married? Why are you starting a family? And why do you want to marry the person that you married? Those of you who are not married, this is a very important thing. Before you get married, first ask yourselves some questions like that. So, would you start a family for something? To the young people, go into relationships which they find themselves starting a family while they were not ready. If you were not ready for that marriage will have the ups and downs. Before one goes into a relationship, you must first find out and get to know who you are. Ask yourself, who am I? You have to know yourself so well, but it's not so late. Even if you started 30 years ago into your marriage and you didn't know, you didn't have a purpose, you didn't have a vision, you didn't have any whatever, and you just got married for the sake of marrying, and you were just excited to have sex and make love and enjoy that, because some people go into marriage just for that. They don't think about any other thing that comes along with making a family or having a family. So unfortunately, most people just exist and they don't want to live. There is a difference between existing and living. So that makes them miss out on knowing who they are. So there are some people who just say, okay, let come whatever comes, I'll go with that. And they don't have a foundation, the background foundation. So you will find that most people live other people's lives. especially some young men. They live maybe like their dad. They want to be like their fathers. They want to be like uncle so and so. Some people live lives of their teachers. There are so many people who are like, oh, I loved my math teacher, and they start behaving like the math teacher. Others look at the world celebrities and they start living a life like that. Others, they admire their pastors, and others, they are just there. So now a person living somebody else's life cannot be identified. He cannot identify himself or herself, and they live a cosmetic life, a life which is covered up. Nobody will ever get to know the real them, the real you. That's why in homes today, if you got married to a man like that who is cosmetic, your home is on the rocks. It's shaking because the man you got married to, you didn't know him so well, because in the first place, he also did not know himself. If you got married to a woman who did not define herself so well and she didn't have a purpose in life, just to get a man and get married, today she's giving you trouble as a man. And this cosmetic life is full of lies and hypocrisy. And these people, they live in self-denial. If people live in a home with self-denial, then that home, its foundation was not the best. Such a people can never fulfill their purpose in life. They simply say, well, whatever comes, I'll have that. These people have got no purpose in life. These people have got no goals. They cannot set a goal and stick to it. That is why we find that now in most of the homes, there are quarrels and arguments and fights, and all sorts of things come because there are no goals. Maybe it's the woman with a vision, and then the man is visionless. And then the woman keeps on asking the guy, when are we doing this? When are we fulfilling this? And then the man, because he's visionless or goalless or purposeless, then he will say that the woman is nagging. So others have got no aspirations. They don't aspire for anything. They just stay there. They earn their whatever they earn. They spend it. They live in a luxurious life. But that is the end of it. They have no aspirations. Some of them have got no future. You ask them now, what are we going to do? Our children are growing up. When are we having this? When are we having that? And say, oh, children will find their own way. Did my father give me anything? Then you say, no. Yeah, let them grow. After university, they'll find their own way. But that's not what God intended for our families. Other people have got no admiration. They don't admire anything and anything at all. As much as it might be the lady in the house, it might be the man, they are admirers. They don't admire anything. So as one partner is struggling to put up this and that, the other partner is like, leave that alone. What is it going to give us? What is it going to add on our lives? After all, we are just passing through. Jesus is coming back soon. So don't worry about that. Other people have no hope. There are some homes without hope. There are some homes who are hopeless. Somebody might say, that is an abusive word. No, either you are hopeful or hopeless. So there are some other who have no faith. But we have just read that faith is to hope for things which you have not seen. So if a home, in a husband, there is no faith, then it means he's not faithful. If it's the lady who has no faith, that means that woman is not faithful in her family. She's not faithful in her home. Others have got no plans at all. They just meander and wander and keep on moving through the world, through the church, through whatever life they lead, but they have no plans. Others have got no preparation. Preparation is so vital in our homes. Before God created this world, He first prepared everything and put it in place. And He knew exact plans that He was going to put up. That is why He tells us in Jeremiah that I know the plans I have for you. Plans not to fail you, but to give you a future. But most Christians, when we read these words, when we read these verses, we don't take them to be personal. We just read them for others and leave them there, and they don't even work in our lives. Because if God said He has a future for you, a plan of your future, and then you are a man, you are a landman, you are 40 years, 50, 60, 70, and you have no plans, that means you have no faith in God. So God did not intend that our families stay in turmoil. God intended that our families, as they call it, our families, our homes should have been the small heaven here on earth. We should be praising God and worshiping Him. As He gives us gifts of children, we should have been a wonderful home. Now, if a young person, a boy or a man, you will allow me to go in all directions because I think we have different kinds of audience. So if a young man or a young woman or a boy and they enter into a relationship and they plan to be together for the rest of their lives, you can already see that the foundation they start that relationship is so important. If at all your foundation was not good, but you have sons and daughters, or if we have young people on the forum now hearing us, make a very firm foundation, basing and founding it in Jesus Christ. Because minus Jesus Christ in our relationship, when we meet, when young people meet people to get married to, there are some people who get married when they are a bit old. That's okay. But whichever way you are, if you are starting a family, your foundation should be laid unto Jesus Christ. Any other foundation that is not laid in Jesus Christ, your marriage, your home, your everything, your relationship will be shaky and it will not last for long, unless if you want to live a life which I've talked about, a cosmetic life. And once the plans, like this is like a builder. A builder, when before you build, I know most of you have built houses back home, even maybe there, over there. So before you build a house, you have to survey the land. After surveying the land, you have to get an architect. And now in this family life, as Christians, our architect is Jesus Christ. If you don't allow Jesus to draw a plan for you in your home, in your marriage, in your finances, in your plans that you do, everything else will collapse. So, in order for our homes to be strong, we have to lean ourselves in Jesus Christ. Now, let us talk about general things. How have you been? This is a question to you. How have you been in your marriage? Are you happy? Are you strong? Are you still faithful? Are you hopeful? Do you have any plans? Do you have any goals? It doesn't matter how long you have stayed in that marriage. Maybe some of you, unfortunately, maybe you are single parents, maybe you are single mother, maybe you are a single father, Maybe you are single by divorce, or you are single by widowhood, but it does not matter. Even if you are a single person, a single parent, by either divorce or separation or widowhood, still God gave you a family to look after. And that family, whether you are a woman or you are a man or you are a grandmother or you are an auntie to the children that you are looking after, God has given you a plan. Have you implemented that plan for your family? Have you thought of, from 5 years from now, what are your plans? Do you have any goals in your family, in your life, in your relationship, man and woman, or mother and children? Because some people say, well, I'm a single mother and I only got 3 girls, I don't have a boy. And that makes you, that can make people think as if they are half, they are not fulfilled. But whichever way you are, make sure and make sure and make sure that you are fulfilled the way you are. God did not make a mistake. If you are yearning for something that God has not given you, because everything that we get is a gift. If God does not give you gift X, and then you yearn for it, and then you think that if you don't have gift X, you are unfulfilled, then you are judging God that He did injustice to you. But God has good plans for us. So whichever status you are, appreciate what God has given you and work towards that thing that God, that home that God has given you. Work towards uplifting your family, work towards improving on your finances, work towards improving your daily life as you live, work towards your life as you serve God. Maybe you are an elder in church, maybe a deacon, a deaconess. Even if you are a sweeper in the church, God has a purpose for you, for your life, for your family, and for everybody that He put care, He put into your hands to care for. So, as we are moving on, think about your plans. Have you fulfilled any of the plans that you had? Have you fulfilled any of the goals that you had? Some people every year, they make goals, new goals and new plans, but they don't look back to find or to check whether the plans they made in 2018 were all made and fulfilled. They keep on making new ones. They keep on making new promises while the old ones are pending. So, in most cases, such a foundation is so important in a builder. So after that, they start digging. Now I've gone back to the young people. Did you dig further? Did you excavate as you were starting your relationship? Did you find out what kind of woman am I taking? What kind of man am I going to marry? If you did not do that, it's not too late. Because the things that disturb homes and the things that break homes in today's world are the things which are hidden between the husband and the wife. Maybe it's a certain habit, maybe it's a certain likes or whatever. Once you don't know the person you live with, you can even live with that person for 30, 40 years and you don't know exactly whom you are living with. That is why divorces today are on the rise. There are so many people who are separating every day. You see them on newspapers, you see them on TVs, even in churches now, even in our own church. Separation has started. Why? Because you've been living with a hyena. I assume all of you are here, you come from Africa, and you know the hyenas in the village and their habits, whatever they do, they are so greedy. Maybe you've been living with a lion. Maybe you've been living with a snake. Maybe you've been living with what other animals are fierce? Leopard. Maybe you've been living with you just name any animal that you fear back home when you were growing up in the villages, those animals. And then today you are discovering that, oh, I've been living with such an animal. I thought this was a zebra because zebras are beautiful and they are colorful. Their colors look so nice. That is when you were starting. You thought you had married a zebra, whereas you married a leopard. And this leopard now, this time, it wants to eat you up. But what are you going to do? Go back to the foundation. Go back to Corinthians where we read. Go back to Hebrews 11 and start all over again. There is nothing so difficult. There is nothing which cannot be solved when we put everything at the feet of Jesus, at the feet of our God, because God has got a plan for us. Now, as we continue, you feel free to chip in, feel free to ask a question, feel free to compliment. So the next step, when like we have laid our foundation, is now to build a house. And I'm going to ask a question to all of you. How have you built your houses? When I ask that question, I'm asking, how is your marriage faring on? How have you, is it a strong house? Is it a strong marriage? Is it a strong family? Is it grounded in the Lord? There are some families who do not, their houses are shaking. When the winds come, those houses shake until to the point of as if the house is going to fall down. I'm going to refer back again to the villages. Back in the villages when we were growing up, the way they used to have houses, grass thatched houses, and mud, with mud. Those houses, up to today, they are still strong. The way, the mechanism they used to build those houses, even if they are grass thatched, they were stronger than some of the iron sheet houses, the modern houses that built. Why? I take you back to our parents, or great grandparents. The foundation of their marriages were stronger than the foundations that we put up today. Once your grandmother was going to get married, or your great grandmother, she knew, this is my husband, I'm going to get married. By the grace of God, I have to be there until death parts us. But today, people get married for different motives. That is why the houses are breaking on a daily basis. What was your motive of getting married? Do you still remember? What was behind your marrying the person you got married to? So if you can ask yourselves, it's not too late. Even if your home is on the verge of falling down and being torn, there is still a chance that you can still amend that home. Have you ever seen these houses whereby they've got cracks? If a house has got a crack, what they do, you redig the foundation around where their crack is, and then they bring new plaster, they mix the plaster, the cement and whatever, and they cut into the crack and then rebuild within where the crack was. And then that house becomes strong again. Same with our marriages, our families. Maybe your family have been crumbling down. Mother, children, you don't talk. Mother, father and his children, you no longer talk. So you can still amend and bring new cement and mortar and cut where the problem started, where the crack started from, and then you can put new mortar and build your home again. The only thing God is going to ask you when we are in heaven, or when we are giving accountability of our lives, how have we lived our lives on this earth, is your family. God is not going to ask you how many apartments you built. God is not going to ask you how many cars did you buy, and He is not even going to ask you, hey, why didn't you drive a Volvo when it was made? You only drove maybe Mercedes and Jeep and this and that. Why didn't you drive such a car? No, all that is not going to ask you. The only accountability you are going to give as a man, as a woman, is your family. He's going to ask you, where is your wife? He's going to ask you, where is your husband? He's going to ask you, where are the gifts that I gave you? Those are your children. As a grandmother, he's going to ask you, where are your grandchildren? Oh God, they got lost into the world, they were taken and then they became this and that. And he said, did I give you the responsibility of raising them up? And then you're going to say, well, yes. And then you'll be like lost in words, because your grandchildren will have got lost while you were watching, whereas God had given you that talent. Do you remember the story of the talents? The one who was given 1, 3, and 5. Apply it into your family. God will ask you, where is your wife and children? Where is your husband and children? Where is your this and that? He's not going to ask you your grandfather. No, you are not responsible for your grandfather, but you are responsible for your children and grandchildren thereafter. So, dear members, as we discuss tonight, this morning and night in your place, let us focus. Look at how you've been driving, or look at how you've been conducting yourself in your home, in your family, how you've been treating them, how you've been providing for them. Are they still hanging on to the Lord? Are your children all gathered unto the Lord? Do you remember Eli, the one who raised up Samuel? He was a priest, but his children, did he reap? No. He was so busy in the temple doing and sorting out other people's problems, whereas his own children were out there doing otherwise. Until God had to raise up Samuel, and he called him Samuel. And Samuel, because he had not talked to God before, he thought it was Eli calling him. And then Eli, knowing that he's been talking with God all the time, he said, when you hear the voice, say, here, your servant is hearing, speak. So when God spoke, the first message Samuel got to give to his spiritual father was that about the children. Do you want God to give the same message to somebody else about your children when you are busy being an elder in church while your children are dying? Do you want, as a grandmother, your grandchildren are lost in the world, and then you are an evangelist and you are a preacher, you are a deaconess, you are everything else in church, while your family is perishing? Dear brothers and sisters, we live in family by faith. Let us be faithful to the Lord so that God intervenes into our families, into our homes. Let us be faithful. Let us be hopeful into the Lord. Let us hope for the things that He has provided for us, the things which we have not seen, the children who are going to serve God, even if we is a toddler. Be hopeful that when this child grows up, is going to serve God. That is why Joshua said, for me and my family, for me and my home, for me and my people, we are going to serve the Lord. How I wish that can be our motto, so that the things that we neglect in our homes, the children, and we leave them to grow the way they want. How I wish we could all say that I and my family, let us serve the Lord diligently, not only partially, but fully and diligently. I'm going to pause a bit so that somebody can come in and talk to us, ask a question, compliment or comment or add on. You are welcome at this time.
You can please unmute and ask questions, comment, or compliment, like Pastor Kibirige has said. You're welcome. It's your time now.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
Pastor, I have a question.
Yes, please.
You know, you alluded, you talked well about the house that was built and the foundation wasn't the foundation that will sustain the house.
Hold the house. Yes.
Yeah, hold it out. What happens in that illustration? What happens to a marriage now where, you know, I find myself that truly, you know, this is a leopard I'm living with now. I do not have the zebra that I thought I was going to have.
Yes.
Now, you know, like I discover and I say, well, this wasn't true. I have now known the truth. What do you do in that case?
In that case,
yes.
Yes, we are going to read from Hebrews 10, verse 36. And it reads, for you have need of patience, endurance, to bear up under difficult circumstances without compromising, so that when you have carried out the will of God, you may receive and enjoy the full of what is promised. God has promised to be with us, whether in good times or whether in bad times. Now, the writer says we have to endure. You have found out that you thought you had a zebra, but now this is a hyena. What do? Put everything in God's hand. Report whatever you are going through to God. And it's only God who can erase, who can recreate, who can change whatever went wrong. Because once we enter into marriage vows or into families, this is an everlasting thing, because we enter into it with faith that whatever comes, that's why you say in good, in bad, in poverty, in richness, in joy, in whatever, those words that you remember you said, maybe you don't remember them. So when people don't remember everything that they said, that is when they say, they throw a towel in. But now Hebrews tells us you need patience and endurance. Those two words are so vital in our marriages. You be patient. Even when we pray, you can pray for something. Maybe it's a sickness, maybe it's a project, maybe it's something. You pray for it and you pray and you pray and you pray, and God is not answering immediately. But one day, there is no prayer that goes unanswered. All prayers God answers. So endurance is needed, and patience as you pray for your partner, for your spouse to change, for God to change. For us, as a woman, as a wife, I cannot change my husband. I cannot change his character. I cannot change his ways. I can do nothing. I can only talk and talk and talk and quarrel. But I cannot do nothing to change. But it's only God. So once we report these things, tell God, tell him, you know what, Papa, I thought I got married to a zebra. But now, 20 years down the road, I found out this was a hyena. What went wrong? Ask him. And if this is a hyena, how do I turn her or him back into to become a zebra? Though the Bible says that a leopard cannot change its spots, but God can do that.
Thank you. Next.
Thank you, Pastor. I just wanted to ask an additional question to what was asked there.
Yes.
Using the same analogy that you used in describing the relationship, talked of the hyena and a zebra.
Yeah.
I'm trying to visualize how the hyena is gonna, live with a zebra or make it a smaller animal that it can be eaten by a hyena. All of a sudden, you discover that there is a hyena in the house.
Yes.
After all those many years, how do you live knowing that you might wake up tomorrow morning and find that you have been eaten by the hyena?
You are eaten?
By the same hyena.
Oh.
When you discover that that is the kind of toxic relationship that you're dealing with.
Yes.
And it's very clear that that is what's happening.
Yeah.
What do you do beyond praying?
Many people live in toxic relationship. First of all, you have to sit down like butterflies. It starts with an egg and then it becomes, I've forgotten the way because this is P3 work. I left P3 long time ago. But I think it starts with an egg, larva, and then a cocoon or whatever, and then a caterpillar, and then a butterfly. A butterfly is the most beautiful thing which is loved by children. They love chasing them around. But when that thing is in a caterpillar stage, everybody runs away, especially women. Women fear caterpillars. But when it's a butterfly, it can even come and rest on your shoulder and then you say, oh, what a nice butterfly. But even if that beautiful butterfly, when you touch it, it normally leaves some kind of powder on your hands. So that means that this thing, as much as it began this way, and then we came from an egg thing, we were hatched, and then we loved each other, we were in that cocoon thing, and we were warm and nice, and now she became a caterpillar, or he became a caterpillar, now is a butterfly. It is toxic. Beyond praying, sit down and find out, why is it toxic? If at all the communication skill in the home or in the family is good, then you can always make that person speak up. Why do you behave the way you are behaving? Why did you turn out to be a monster? I thought I married a princess, but now you are a monster, you are a beast. I mean, when we are in homes, we have to be sincere and we have to be frank and we have to be truthful. Call a spade, call it by its real name. But in some homes, because we don't want to stir up quarrels and fights and whatever, because in quotes, I do that in quotes, because I'm an elder, I'm a deaconess, I'm a pastor, I'm this and that, I don't want people to see that we are fighting. I don't want people to hear that we quarreled. Then you become puffed up. You become full. You become, you cannot breathe. That new thing of Floyd, I can't breathe. There are so many marriages which is suffocating. People are not breathing. They are being suffocated. So you sit and talk about it. And once you find out the problem, if it is rectifiable by both of you, try to start all over again. If you need a counselor or a pastor or somebody else to come in to talk to either of you or both of you, do it. If you need even to involve the children, because these days the children are so fast, they learn so fast, they are so clever, they are so alert, and they know things sometimes that we don't know. And sometimes they see that mother today is like this, father is like that. So involve the people who are concerned so that you can make the thing work. So as you pray and fast, but there are certain homes or certain couples whereby it is quoted in Ellen G. White talked about it. I'm not going to quote exactly, but if it comes to the point that there is death, then separation is better. Other than killing a life, so that, and you become a murderer, you become this and that. Separation for a time being is important. Maybe when you separate for a year or two, and then you sit and you contemplate and you think and you rethink, maybe you can come back together afterwards, because when you separate, maybe I'm not talking about separation, divorce or something, but go away or leave the house. If the quarrel is hot, leave the house, go out and on a stroll, go in the woods and walk. By the time you come back after 2 hours or 3 hours, maybe the things could have cooled down. So apart from being prayerful and fasting about the issues, seek counseling. But the two of you, or if it's a family thing, maybe it's the children with the mother, the father, because when we talk about family turmoil, some people, we normally think about man and woman, but it might even be your son. You don't see eye to eye with your son, with your daughter, with your uncle, with whoever. Sit down and find out why. Why did we go into such? Why do we have such a fight? Who began it all? Is there anything can be done that we can change this situation so that we can go back to the way we used to be, and you go back to become a zebra? There is nothing permanent in this world. Even the worst person ever lived, if at all you find out why he's been doing such a thing, and you go to the roots and uproot it, then that person can always go back to become a nice, sweet, and loving person.
But Pastor, I have one question for you. I think it's almost time. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Pastor, my question is this. First of all, thank you very much. I have really enjoyed your presentation. Your using comparisons in Kenya, in Africa, and here. What happens? And this has become very common. Not really very common, but it has happened in the United States. What if, on the part of ladies, she was a zebra when she was in Africa?
Yes.
When she comes to the United States, living a year or two, because women have more rights in America than men, especially if you are a minority.
Yes.
They become hyenas, or they be, and because of that, we have witnessed a lot of marriages of people who are
Collapsing.
senior, advanced age, breaking families, it becomes very painful. Even if the children are adults, still one family is very important as far as God would want us to live. So what do you advise? Because that has happened here I mean in the United States. When they change, they become hyenas here when they were zebras in Africa. They were very good in Africa. When they come here, they change.
Yes, that one is so common. Wherever most ladies or one men, when they leave African continent and then you enter into that system, it happens. You marry a zebra at home, and then when you enter to another system, they change. Those are the butterflies I've talked about. They become caterpillars and this and that. But check yourself. If somebody does not know what kind of ground they are, those are the people who normally changes. I am going to use a Luganda word. Juliet will help me to translate it. Obukopi, omukopi. It could be, is it a peasant or something like that? We'll find a word for it.
It's like
when we are Christians, sometimes we do not allow God to take off all the culture and whatever habits that we have as individuals. When we become Christians, or when we grow into Christianity, we drag along our cultures and other things that we think they add value to us. But the Bible tells me you are a royal priesthood. You are different from others. Culture is a very good thing to have and a bad thing to have. It has two sides. If you use culture for the good and the enhancement of your life or your lifestyle or whatever, it becomes a good thing. But if you use it against, then culture becomes a bad thing. These ladies who come from home, when they are cultured, when they are grounded into our culture, African culture or Black culture, because our culture is strong, is the strongest among all cultures. And then they come and turn into something else. I call them omukopi. Juliet will translate that after. Why? Because these are the people where we started, those who have no, let me read again them to you, those people have got no purpose. Maybe her entire, call it, help me with the word, her entire whatever, she had this man came from New Jersey, he's looking for a wife to marry, then she humbles herself, and then when you get married, you take her. Inside of her, she said, hey, let's go. Once we reach there, I'll show him my true colors. There are such a people who keep quiet when you are into the foundational stages, and then they say, let us reach the roofing part. I'll show him or her who am I. Those people, if somebody has got a purpose, it does not matter where you are. My Bible tells me, I'll bless you in the city, I'll bless you wherever you are, and when you are going out, when you are coming in. When you are in America, God blesses you. When you are down in the villages, give me a name. In Ithaca or wherever, God blesses you. But if you reach out there into that culture of the whites, it's a foreign culture, and you adapt it and you apply it as a Christian, and you start throwing your man out, you throw the woman out with the children or whatever, then it means you are not grounded in Jesus Christ. Then it means your house is shaky, it's not grounded. does not have the foundation of Christ, first ask yourself, what is the foundation of being a Christian? A Christian, a person who believes in God, especially a Seventh-day Adventist, we've got our culture. What does the culture of the Christian Seventh-day Adventist say? Whether you are in the US, whether you are in Canada, whether you are in India, whether you are in Thika, whether you are in Chadondo, whether you are in Kampala, it has to apply. It does not matter where you are, as long as you are grounded in that culture of a Christian. But why people change? Because they are not grounded. On the surface, they show that they are Christians, they serve God, they sing in choirs, they do whatever, they give to charity, they donate, they return tithe when they are not grounded. When they are not grounded. But a woman who is talked of in Proverbs 31, who is a virtuous woman, cannot change and turn against her husband when they reach Chicago or New York. The way she's been behaving back down in, you have refused to give me the villages, Namwe.
Okay,
Back
Kisi.
in Kisi.
Nyanko, Nyanko, where you went?
Yes, in Nyako. She will be the same woman in New York. She will be the same woman even if she's appointed to be assistant to the President of the United States. She will be the same because of her foundation, of her grounding in the roots of Jesus Christ. Those people whom you see who are changed, they are not grounded. They need to be grounded.
Amen. Thank you.
I know time is gone, but Pastor, I wanted just to say that, you know, we are talking about family life.
Yes.
And if you go into houses, like if you go into homes,
Yes.
there is more in the homes than the human eye can tell.
Yes.
So did we actually in this platform just say that women come to America and change? Is there a different is there a different
It's
approach
both.
to
Men and women.
Is there a different approach to what happens? Like, are there research that has been done on what happens? Because we are talking about what happens, like, is it only in America that this is happening, or is it happening in our traditional homes? And if it is, what is the reason?
It's happening in the US, it's happening in the UK. In the UK, they call it the black bag, whatever. The woman puts the man's clothes in a bin bag, black bag, and he throws that out of the window. And he says, this is it. I don't know what in the US you use to throw the clothes out. But even in Denmark, Sweden, and all over. But back home, a woman cannot throw a man out of the house. I've not really seen it. Even if that house was built by a woman, it's really rare in Africa for a woman to throw the man out. But the elder who said that when the women go abroad, they are given extra wings to fly, and they are given extra, what is it called? They are given certain ingredients within them. And then they live a Christian way, and they start living the American way, the British way, the way the Swedes live, and whichever country they are. But they cannot do that in India. In India, if you went as a married couple, because Indians still have their cultures and norms, they are still strong. They believe in families. They believe in strong families. You cannot do that in India because it will not be acceptable. But some other countries whereby family values were diluted, they don't value family. They say, well, if at all you separate, the government will look after you. You'll get so much every month or every week. So the women or the men start looking at material things other than looking to God to amend their families. So any slight quarrel, then the woman runs to police, they call police, even the children. You have seen your children. In the UK, the day you take your child to a daycare, the first thing they teach that child is a police number. And that child has to cram it. And they tell that child, anything, if mommy beats you, if your mom spanks you, just call that number. And it has happened. And the police come and take your children away from you that you cannot look after them. But they forget that we have different cultures and values. So as a Christian woman, if you don't apply godly values into your home, and you put the government values into your home, into your family, that home is bound to failure. So it's not only women, but even men. Maybe it's the woman who has been living out there for a long time, and then they go back home, they marry, and then the man comes. Once the man comes, then he starts looking for spring chicks. Now this is a broiler, off layer. He sees you as an off layer, and then he starts looking at spring chicken in a basket. And then this is it. He does the same. So let us apply godly values into our homes so that our homes and our families can stand. That is the best way to go. Hello? Hello? Any other question or comment or addition?
Okay, any other question? We're gonna end it.
Yes.
We thank you so much, Pastor. Can we kindly request Elder Danvers, please, to say a vote of thanks?
Okay, before he does,
pray for us. Yes.
Before he does it, we are going to read Proverbs 19:14, and it says, houses and riches are an inheritance from fathers or from wherever, hard work, whatever, name it. But a prudent wife is from the Lord. So if you have a wife as a man and your wife is prudent, just know that that wife came from the Lord. May the Lord bless you all.
Elder Danvers, vote of thanks, and then Elder Mgoya, may you please pray for us.
Pastor, we want to thank you very much for waking up this early and agreeing to speak to us. We have been encouraged by your word and the experience that we have shared here this evening. So on behalf of Muungano, I want to thank you and wish you the very best together with your family. And we look forward to better days when the skies are open and you are able to come so that we can fellowship together again. It is an experience to all of us, and hopefully each and everyone who is in the forum tonight has gotten something that can help them enrich their family life, and above all, prepare them for the second coming of Christ. So we thank you and appreciate you, and may God continue blessing you, and may God bless those who have found time to fellowship with us during this short season of Family Life series. Thank you so much.